Now, there are many inspiring stories of businesses that have taken the path towards sustainability and are realizing the results. General Electric, Partners in Project Green Partner, is one of those shining examples. GE's Ecomagination program is a unique business strategy that was designed to drive innovation and the growth of profitable environmental solutions while fostering stakeholder engagement. Kim Warburton, the Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs, is here with us from GE to share how they've turned sustainability into a business opportunity. So please join me in welcoming Kim Warburton.
What I thought I'd do is just take about 15 minutes, and thank you so much for inviting me, and take you a little bit on a journey and tell you the story of Ecomagination and what GE has been doing over the last 5 years. Why would a company like GE start down the path of Ecomagination? So I'm going to start there in the story. We started in 2005, and Ecomagination was a way of addressing a lot of the issues that were coming to our attention. So our customers, government, large NGOs, we're all talking about the same thing. And the thing is, the future is unbelievably intimidating. And when you look at a company like GE, we're a global company. We have 300,000 people around the world in 120 countries. We get a lot of global information, and it's daunting at times to think of what's going on in the world and how the world is developing. So when you look at some of the facts, the world's population currently 6.6 billion and expected to grow to 9 billion by 2050, with Africa and Asia leading the growth. For the first time in 2007, the UN reported that more people now live in cities than in rural areas, and that you see cities in Asia and Africa growing by 1 million people a week. 1 billion people don't have access to clean water. And energy consumption is going to more than double between 2010 and 2030. And then you layer in the increasing climate volatility, it's a good basis for discussion. And people are saying, what can we do? What honestly can we do? So we started on a journey, and we took into consideration not only the big world, but also we took a look at some of the constraints that are happening as well. Constraints that are affecting all of us. Resources, labor, expertise, fuels and commodities, the markets, access to capital and the marketplace, policy, the public demanding more regulation, government bearing more public debt, and fiscal pressure and protectionism. Everybody is talking about the same things, and when it comes all together, you're looking at two things: prosperity and sustainability. It's a common goal, but honestly, how do you get there? And the challenge is, how do you find balance between both? So in 2005, GE made a really big bet, and we talk about it. It was a big bet. We launched a program called Ecomagination. And if you take away only one message from anything I say tonight, this is it. Green is green. Ecomagination, first and foremost, is a business strategy. It's a business strategy, and it's based on improving the bottom line cost to business and reducing the environmental footprint. Both of those things together, not one more than the other. There's a balance, and it just has to be there. And that's what we found was the fundamental core to Ecomagination. In many cases, the return on investment, we're looking at in a period of 2 to 3 years. So it's not way out there, and that was the premise and the way that we started. And so Jeff Immelt, who's the CEO of GE, went to the board of directors, and I can tell you it probably wasn't the easiest conversation to say, you're taking this big 100-plus-year-old company that's used to doing things a certain way, and it's like taking the Queen Mary and just turning it very, very slowly around and trying to get everybody in line to go on this direction. And so the one message here is it takes incredible leadership and incredible fortitude to take an initiative like this and drive it through an organization. What we also did was we said we're going to focus. There's a lot that can be done. There's lots of programs, initiatives, things that can take you from one direction to the other. But we said we were going to focus in 4 areas. And we also, because we're GE, we love metrics. We're going to measure everything as we go. So it's not going to be a 10-year marketing program and off we go. It's a very strategic program with 4 key pillars. They're measured every year. And when we started this journey, we said, this is going to be new revenue. We're going to grow the revenues to $20 billion. So that's new eco products over a 5-year period. This is all over 5 years. Partway through that, we changed it to $25 billion, so indicative of the success of the initiative. We said we were going to double down on research and development. So GE typically spends about $5.7 billion annually on research. We said that we were going to spend an additional $1.5 billion on clean tech R&D. And we said we were going to reduce our own greenhouse gas emissions by 1%. And that may not sound like a huge number to you, but if we didn't do anything, we would have grown our greenhouse gas emissions by 30%. And the 4th part was that we were going to inform the public every year. We were going to keep people informed along the way. And so, in fact, we produce an annual report, an eco-annual report, which is audited. We treat it just like any other annual report, metrics, all verified. So what we found as the critical enabler to Ecomagination is innovation. Investing in clean technologies is absolutely essential for finding new solutions to solving environmental challenges, and new solutions for growing business, and new solutions for creating jobs, all the things that you're doing here. Our history is steeped in a lot of research. We've been around for over 120 years, founder by Thomas Edison. And in fact, our plant in Peterborough, Ontario, is an original Edison plant. If you ever get an opportunity to go down there, it's a great big old brick building that's still there. And then the commitment of dollars, strategic dollars that we're going to go into eco. And so today, GE, we have 4 global research centers around the world. They're located in New York, Germany, China, and India. And we bring these global research together in a collaborative way. We have 2,600 researchers in those locations, about 1,000 PhDs. And then worldwide, we have another 27,000 technologists. And so it just demonstrates, these are big numbers, but it demonstrates our commitment to innovation and R&D. It's essential. And I want to say these are big numbers, and we're a large company, and sometimes the scale seems so big, but what I really wanted to do is give a message of inspiration, because it doesn't matter how large or how small. The fact is that we are all taking steps to do something. The magnitudes may shift, but the will and the desire and the inspiration is there. And we're so excited about innovation, I have to point this out, is that we have a site called Edison's Desk. And so a lot of our researchers who, were doing really cool things, and also that's the other thing at GE, you can't do cool things behind closed doors for a long period of time. There's metrics on that as well. So we started talking to our researchers and learned that, they're talking to other researchers in academia and businesses all around the world. And we now have a blog, and if you go in on the site, you can talk to our researchers and find out what they're working on. And it can be from water desalination to yesterday there was lots of news about our $50 light bulb that will last for 17 years. But we're working on the price point, right? But it's a great site to go and chat and get some ideas. So let me take you a little bit now in terms of where we've gone and what's happened. So 5 years ago when we started with a very small portfolio of what we call eco-certified products. So those are products that go through a very rigorous process, and they're recognized as eco-products. We had a handful, maybe 5 or 6. Today the portfolio has grown to over 80 in just 5 short years. So those, again, are eco-certified products, and it's not GE eco-certifying them. We established a third-party board comprised of people from academia, business, MIT, And our businesses, when they feel they have a product that's ready and eco-certified, they actually go through a very rigorous process to get that certification, and that's all done third party. And our products are ranging now from jet engines, so more energy efficient jet engines, water, including membrane technology, and the Peel wastewater plant is an excellent example of that. One of the world's largest membrane technology plants right here in Mississauga. Wind energy, which is a rapidly growing business in Ontario and of course right across the country, and locomotive engines. So Evolution locomotive engines that are 40% more efficient than the former ones, and now we're working on a hybrid locomotive engine, and CN and CP use those engines in Canada. We're also looking into extensively renewables, bio, Jenbacher engines that are converting waste. There's the plant there. And then you'll see here, this is a chicken farm, which is taking chicken stuff and converting it into energy. We also have, in North America, the only plant in Leamington, which is a tomato greenhouse. So everybody goes, oh, little greenhouses, right? 52-acre greenhouse, which is using Jenbacher engines to convert energy. They have so much, they're putting it back onto the grid with subsidies. So there's some fabulous stories and great things that are happening. In BC as well, we've been financing, so not always product, but we finance. So the Doki Wind Farm and also some run-of-river projects. The Toba project, for example, which is now going to be producing enough energy for 75,000 homes when that comes on stream later this year. And I couldn't resist. Most recently, we also applied eco to the Olympic Games, and I had the pleasure of being out there for just over a month. And we helped some of our customers as well. So CP Rail was the official freight provider for the Games, and CP Rail used Evolution locomotive engines to help reduce their footprint. Also, the Vancouver Convention Centre, which was used for the broadcast building, now has a green roof. All the water within that building is being reused. And the reused water is being used for flush fixtures and then also to irrigate a 6-acre rooftop garden. And also lighting, so energy efficient lighting in over 9 sports venues as well. So it was a great opportunity to also showcase what we can do with eco in a very large sports area as well. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about employee engagement. So we have lots of product, lots of services. What we found with eco is that our employees got on the bandwagon really fast. People want to work within companies where they can drive energy efficiency, help with greenhouse gas, and make change. We have over 5,000 projects going on around the world globally, and that has generated $100 million in annual energy savings. That is the equivalent to 34 days of residential electricity consumption in the City of London, England. So it's an absolutely huge number, and that's all being driven out by employees doing things like treasure hunts or coming up with better ideas. One example is just in our own plants, we make energy efficient lighting. Guess what? Maybe we should relamp our plants. So we started doing that a few years ago and drove a huge amount of energy savings just from doing that. And in Mississauga, I'm very proud to say, and Renee and Shirley led this, we received the first ever LEED EB, which is existing building designation in Ontario, and the second only in Canada. And that was a huge, huge amount of work, and those ladies led that. And we have volumes and manuals and checks, double checks, and it touched everything from water to even our cafeteria with, cornstarch knives and forks that are made from cornstarch derivative, to use of paper towels, bringing in better cleaning supplies. So an absolutely massive undertaking, which also garnered us a global star and recognition within GE globally as well. So they really did a huge amount of work there. In order to be successful and in order to do any of this, the word is collaboration. And so I know you're all working together, and I really commend you for that, because collaboration is so important to this. And I think if you think about the environment and the stages that we've gone through, you look through the 70s, 80s, 90s, sometimes it was environmental groups that were very, very strong. They didn't quite jive with business. Then business got into it for a little while, didn't quite know the way to do it, didn't really work together. And Ecomagination has brought GE to the many, many different tables. We're talking with governments, we're talking with NGOs, we're spending time with people who, maybe are not particularly friendly, but we all have the same goal, right? And we all learn from each other and we can move ahead. I'm really pleased and delighted that Corporate Knights this year recognized GE as the #1 global corporate sustainability company in the world. That was announced at Davos, and incredibly rigorous process for that as well, and it just sort of shows how far we've come and been able to come. We now talk to a lot of people on blogs. We use new media. We have recognition by a number of organizations, and in the U.S. we were a founding member of U.S. CAP, which is the Climate Action Program. So, if you had suggested this maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, never even dreamed of what would have taken place in the transformation in 5 years. So I'm just going to recap a little bit. The ECO report you can find online. I want to just highlight what we've achieved in the last 5 years. So I mentioned we now have 80 plus ECO certified products. Our 2008 revenues, so this is for new eco business, just 2008, was $17 billion. There is a huge market for eco products. From 2005 to 2009, we invested $5 billion in clean tech R&D. We've also started some venture capital activities as well, so there'll be more coming on that. And we've reduced our greenhouse gas reduction from our 2004 baseline by 8%. The 5,000 projects I mentioned, we've decreased our water consumption by 2% from 2006 levels. And a very exciting number is we've had over 4.5 million visits to the Ecomagination website. We've participated in global conferences around the world, and we have a lot more new public policy engagements and discussions happening. So where do we go now? We've achieved some of these goals. Well, and you're getting the highlights of this because we're quite excited about it. We are making some new commitments. We're going to double our R&D for the next 5 years to $10 billion. We're going to grow at 2 times GE's growth. We now have a target of improving energy efficiency by 50%, and we're going to reduce our water consumption by 25%. And finally, we're going to engage more and more in terms of inspiring a prosperous and clean economy. So to summarize, there's a few lessons. Don't be afraid to take a big bet. It can work. It worked for us. You need leadership and you need tenacity and you need to inspire people to do it, but don't be afraid to take that bet. Invest in innovation, invest in technology, don't stay static. The world is a big place, it's changing all the time, it's very dynamic, you have to keep up. Engage and collaborate with large groups of people who will make you feel uncomfortable. You don't want to be like-minded all the time, don't just sit with people who are doing the same thing as you are. Really, really get under it and understand what's going on. Set a few goals, not a lot of goals. Set a few goals and stay focused and measure how you're going. And the other thing is keep in mind the bigger picture. ECO, what we're doing with ECO, with our customers, with municipalities and with others is great, but think of the big picture as well. Think of the world, the challenges that I started out with in the world. You can make a difference. We're all making a difference. It's a small steps kind of difference, but it's important. And it's important that as we do this, we see the shifts in society. We see green jobs. We see sustainability. And those little girls who in the Middle East spend their entire day gathering water, when you can put in water filtration, desalination, and treatment, all of a sudden those little girls are now going to school and become the next generation potentially of engineers and researchers. So thanks so much for your attention, and congratulations again for all you've achieved, and it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kim. We really are fortunate within the Partners in Project Green area to have a company like GE. The scale and the scope and the creative capacity of GE really is an inspiration to all of us. Of course, our dream for this area at PPG is that we would help to make GE even more wildly successful, particularly GE Canada, that this area would be an inspiration for a whole range of new products and the proving ground for a whole range of new products, and in fact that they would be sold into markets all over the world. So it really is a very appropriate and inspirational note. Kim, we really appreciate you taking your time to be here. We wish you every success.